Yesterday, 8 teams gave their first impressions for the new decade. We'll see how our remaining teams will perform with the games today. Thank you to Honda for bringing the teams to the LCS Arena and for sponsoring our 2020 Spring Split. As you get a look at some of the happenings Mark, out in the parking lot ahead of the games today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we look at some of the performances from day one and pass around some hot takes until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champion Select. We are excited to welcome Crumbs back to the desk.
Finally, LCS.
Right.
I
didn't want anyone comparing.
Yeah,
I didn't want to compare to yesterday.
So it was nice having Prolly join us, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Before we roll the incident, I do want to warn anyone watching with small kids, this is some pretty tough language to hear. Let's check it out.
Actually, I'm kind of on a separate ticket as you. I don't mean to be disagreeable.
No, absolutely. And we don't do disagreeable here on the LCS.
We all have a narrative, and we stick to the narrative.
You can count on me to agree with everything you three will say today.
Thank you very much, Crumbs. That's all I ask for. After day one, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Dignitas, and FlyQuest have all picked up wins, while everyone else aims to do the same over the next 2 days. Now, rather than have the analysts do their own homework, I'm testing their big brains in a different way by having them tackle prompts that their fellow analysts made in a new segment we are calling Not My Hot Takes. I'll start us off with Not My Hot Take of looking this good may look effortless.
Wow, Dad.
But hey, well, hear me out. Now, hear me out. But it's not. I have a team of people that work literally around the clock to put this together. Oh! And C9 got lucky. Broxa wasn't playing yesterday.
Oh, okay.
That's my actual.
Okay, you're just complimenting yourself the whole time.
I figured it was a good time.
You want to be clear that you didn't write this.
I did not write this. I didn't write this. This is somebody else's very hot take about me.
So the take is
C9 got lucky that Broxa didn't play yesterday. I actually
have to defend that.
Yeah, I'm going to defend that. I think that's a totally reasonable argument from the perspective from a couple different perspectives. Number one, just individually in the jungle matchup, you expect Broxa to challenge Blabber more than Schernfire would. Individual level, I don't think there's any argument that Broxa is considered to be a better player than Schernfire on the outset. So that's going to hamper a lot of Blabber's explosiveness and what we think is going to be a key to C9's success this year. On top of all of that, you have Schernfire subbing in now for a team that he has had next to 0 practice with. So you're gonna have both those factors playing into what was a Cloud9 victory.
I'm told I have to go next. We're not allowed to argue with Dash.
You can't argue.
Whose take was it?
Was that someone's actual hot take, or was that one of our producers? Oh, that was our producer's hot take.
Okay,
all right,
so we get the game.
All right, Jat next.
My next hot take is Closer is the best jungler in the league. And you can quote me on that, or my name isn't Joshua Leisman. All other NA junglers.
Is that your full name? Joshua Leisman, all other NA junglers?
I'm not sure what the last part is.
I think it's say Closer over.
It's greater
than.
I was just reading the prompt.
Yeah.
So that was my take. And for this one, all you have to do is look at what happened yesterday.
True.
Meteos, one of the greatest NA junglers of all time, absolutely ran off the map in the early game. Yes, you can say the early invade was a plan, but then what happened after being able to keep Meteos out of the game up until Dragon Soul, all of his great engages, MVP TCL, you got to say, might be on his way.
We haven't seen Sven or Dardoch. How can he be greater than all of the NA junglers?
You calling Sven an NA jungler?
Okay, Dardoch.
At least playing an NA. Closer's not an NA jungler.
All right, Mark, what do you got for us?
That was my take.
I was going to guess that was you.
Okay.
All right, so the one that I've been given, why are we going to Texas? Texas has crap barbecue. Everyone knows the best barbecue comes from North Carolina. Don't at me, but I won.
No, but if you want to, Mark, read it correctly.
Okay, don't at me, but if you want to, here's where you can find it.
Yeah, check out that Twitter handle. Go ahead and play Mark Z.
I vehemently disagree.
Yeah,
that's
a very
do we know someone in the control room from North Carolina? Or anyone here?
Probably.
All
right, Crumbs, you're next.
Wait, who's
This is tough to read. This is a tough one. All right. But I'll go through it, all right? Golden Guardians have done the best job of a team branding, and that brand is the worst team in the league.
Wow.
All right. Defend it.
Please, sir. Please, yes.
All right. No one knows what they're defending. What are they guarding? It made sense when it was the Golden State Warrior bridge, the logo. Now it's a sword, and it just looks like some sort of item in the shop that's been taken back and you can't access anymore.
Oh, I like it. Taking a very literal, a literal approach to their name, the Golden Guardian.
That was mine. I was going more for the 10th place double finish from 2018.
They made playoffs last year, man.
And then they didn't again. We'll see.
Right. We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. One. All right, Mark. It looks like you've got another hot
I got
take.
one more.
Yeah, double hot takes from Mark Z over here.
It's cold living in Travis Gafford's shadow.
It's just so big.
Is it, Mark? How cold is it?
I feel like the producers wrote all of these.
I feel like the producers wrote most of those. That was just their opportunity to get us to say whatever they want on air.
You got one more.
Oh, last hot take. Even I get another one. All right, here we go. Evil geniuses aren't actually that evil, but picking up the summer MVP Sven Skjæren may have been genius.
Sure.
Wait, but that doesn't feel hot at all. That feels like a pretty,
that seems good.
straight down the middle, reasonable statement to make.
Did we agree with every statement?
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with closer being the best.
Isn't North
jungler
Carolina
in
barbecue also like the musty, gross one?
No, it's the vinegary-based one.
Okay, wait,
I love North Carolina pulled pork.
St. Louis was great.
Texas does have some great barbecue there because I was there earlier for this past year for esports awards, and I think I got barbecue 3 times in the course of 36 hours. Damn good. Can't wait for spring finals. Anyway, today's games kick off with another new team to enter the league as Evil Geniuses aim to take down Dignitas, who came into opening day with an impressive premiere. TSM versus Immortals follows shortly after, and 2 more LCS matches before CLG Academy versus Dignitas Academy. A reminder that our week of action continues into Monday Night League, where after 5 games of action, Obli and Riv will close things out in the Bud Light League Lounge, where they'll kick back and soak in all the Week 1 action. Yesterday, we welcomed back Immortals to the LCS, but in case you're not up to the team's history, Riv is ready to walk us through a recap in Immortals Oversimplified.
A lot's happened in the offseason, not least of which was a heap of teams returning to the LCS. There once was a team in green. Their first split was really mean. They went 17-1, and then they were done. But now they're back with Xmithie. Optic is now Immortals, the team that once entered the scene and were nigh untouchable. But the only person remaining from the Optic days is Zabatine, who's brought a little joie de vivre to the roster. First up is top dog in the league scene, Soaz, as he makes his way to NA alongside Xmithie after his departure from the 4-time champions Team Liquid. They're joined by Ica, another French import in the mid lane who's got plenty to prove in an offseason where people were question mark pinging the pickup. Here's a throwback. Altec makes his return for the first time since summer 2018, where he's joined by Hakuo. And while many may scratch their heads at this roster, an important reminder that Immortals finished top 4 in 3 of the 4 splits they participated in all those years ago. So as they make their return to the stage, this undying band of warriors no doubt plan to do the same. That's been Immortals Oversimplified.
That's Immortals Oversimplified. They did stumble out the gate yesterday, but what's our take on this roster and their day 1 of the split?
It wasn't good.
But it was a weird one to judge because it felt draft dependent for why it wasn't a good first showing, with Trundle in the jungle and giving the other team top laner Riven when that's his best champion by far.
Right.
So that felt weird to evaluate a new team on when that's what draws your focus so much.
Okay. Well, at least there are some specific points of criticism, and we'll get an opportunity to preview their second match of Week 1 later today. But this is a team helmed by Xmithie. We do expect great things out of them to come. We're stepping away for a break, but after that, our very own Jat will give us a rundown on one of League's newest marksmen, Senna. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to the LCS, and I wanted to take some time during this countdown to talk a bit about Senna, because it's a champion we've seen a lot of. I'm sure most of you know the basics, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some interesting interactions with the kit and kind of explain why you're seeing Rapid Fire Cannon and Glacial Augment on Senna specifically. So what a lot of people know is that Senna collects souls, and every 20 souls you get increases your range. There's a few things you can do, though, to game the soul pickup system that I wanted to show you. So what ends up happening is there's an extremely low, like a 2% soul drop rate on minions that you last hit. But on last hitting of a cannon, it's a 100% soul drop rate. So what should actually be happening in the mid to late game of Senna games, if you're kind of doing that 4 or 5 man group mid, since Senna actually gains benefit from minions she doesn't last hit via an increased soul drop chance, is I think you should actually be giving CS to your other carries since you're powering up anyway. Another thing you should be doing as a Senna, if you're not doing anything else, is kind of following your jungler around, because there's also a 100% soul drop rate on large monsters, and still the incredibly low drop rate on the other camps. So if you actually like are near Krugs, say you're pushed in down here, if you're near Krugs while your jungler is taking them, sometimes you can get upwards of 5 souls just from the Krug camp. But to talk a little bit about the core items and why you're seeing Glacial Augment and Rapid Fire Cannon, I want to talk about how Senna's Q and passive end up interacting with each other and with Glacial Augment. So as you gain souls, you're increasing range. Rapid Fire Cannon also increases your range, but that also increases the target you can have on your Q. So look at this. This target dummy is actually off screen for me, but if I Q through it with Rapid Fire Cannon, and I do it properly, I can actually get the Glacial Augment slow to proc. So even just from here, look at the range of that slow. And then with approach velocity, you're moving faster towards them. And then some final things just with why people are building so much lethality. An auto Q on a target will proc the passive. You can see the damage going way up, which is 16% of their current health is bonus physical damage. The only way you really increase that damage is by building armor penetration and lethality. She has reduced crit damage scaling. She doesn't gain benefit from attack speed. So that's why you're seeing all these lethality items. An item I think we should be seeing, though, that no one builds is Black Cleaver, because if you look at the top left here, every auto attack actually applies 2 stacks of Black Cleaver. So a quick auto Q and 1 more auto gets you to max Black Cleaver stacks, which is a large amount of armor penetration that I think people aren't taking advantage of. So that was just a few things that I haven't heard many people talk about with Senna. Maximize your soul generation, use the Glacial Augment to get those long-range Q slows, and that's how you're gonna find a fair bit of success with Senna. Let's take it back to the desk.
One of the 2 new marksmen that we have on the Rift. It's kind of a peculiar time in League of Legends where we're talking about Senna while Aphelios has also been very active, but both of them finding tons of play so far in the LCS.
Yeah, also got to make sure that if you get the mist applied to you, back away from her so she can't get that 16% current health proc on you. It's a 4-second cooldown if you get the mist applied.
And she gets a soul.
I will add,
which never goes away.
For all the amazing things Senna has, she is very weak wave clearing in the mid game, which is, I think, the biggest window of opportunity to play against her, which is why her win rate has not been so high either.
And if you pair it, though, with a mid laner or someone else who can clear waves well, it's fine.
There you go.
I actually think AD carry Senna's in the late game are CSing too much.
Yeah.
The soul generation is so valuable for the increased range on your Q.
I'm almost grateful for nerf jungle XP, because when you're talking about souls dropping and following junglers around, I was just thinking, I was like, oh my god, can you imagine Senna in the funnel meta, Senna just following a Yi around collecting souls while he's getting super fed.
Grateful for
I digress. Let's talk a little bit about jungle XP though, because while we have some new characters in the game, Senna, Aphelios, and Set to come in the future, there have also been a number of changes to the Rift and the game itself. First and foremost, the jungle XP. We saw a little bit of that come into play just yesterday, too.
Yeah, and it just means that the junglers have to be even more effective with their pathing and their timing. No time can be wasted in waiting in a brush for a gank early game or taking a greedy route that might backfire, because if it does, you might be 2 levels down for the rest of the game. It's so brutal.
You know what I think?
What's that?
I think this jungle actually incentivizes ganking even more.
Yeah.
So you actually can wait longer in a brush because the payoff is what's worth it. Farming camps isn't that effective. So jungle proximity in LCS and LEC in the first week was 50%.
So it went up.
Last year it was 42. People are ganking.
You have
more.
no choice. You gank, you wait for it, and then if it fails, you're like, well, I can't farm to catch back up. I have to gank. I'm lower level.
Yes.
I'm just running it down, looking for a kill.
Well, I mean,
I'm lower level.
That's what happened yesterday in the game between Closer and Meteos. Closer had this super aggressive path, and this is like the kind of stuff that's going to be way more brutal without catch-up XP.
Yes.
You know, you see his red get taken. He tries to do Raptors. Those get taken away. Closer then just runs across mid lane, goes and forces his flash after Meteos gets Wolves, and then Closer takes his blue buff. You don't get catch-up XP where you're going to get 6 close to the same time. So what Meteos does after this, he goes bot lane and tries to gank level 2 because that's what you do now. And the thing is, that gank didn't work, and I think Meteos deserves a lot of credit for bouncing back in that game, and I think Closer deserves a lot of credit because those are the kind of jungle paths that can be backbreaking in this new meta.
And that's the kind of champion that allows you to get back in. The Gragas, not things like the Trundle that I'm going to flame until the split is over and nobody picks. You can't gank him on level 2 on Trundle. You can't go for that.
On top of jungle XP, of course, elemental drakes are probably the biggest of changes that hit the Rift here in 2020. I want to get your guys' sense of how this has affected the game so far and the way teams are approaching it.
I've been really interested in how teams have gotten to Dragon Soul and then not instantly won the game. Like we saw with Golden Guardians, we saw it in LEC, or the fact that like the first 2 Drakes go over to one team and then the other team comes back with the next 4. So Dragon Soul, I think, has been reasonably powerful, but I've just been surprised how often we're seeing it. I didn't think it would be this common.
Yeah, teams are really heavily prioritizing it. The other thing that came with that was the Rift changes, which I think we were all waiting to see how impactful it would be. We did see one example where I noticed, like, oh, that helped with the Infernal map. Here, Golden Guardians on the red team really goes super hard trying to kill Meteos. They get kind of caught in this choke point versus a GP, which is sometimes a death trap, but because the blue buff wall is actually down, they don't have to run through Zoe on the left side to get out. A couple people run straight back. Most notably, the Ornn there doesn't have to blow flash. He just kind of walks out in a way that is not normally available.
So I think part of why the Dragon has been so interesting is because of Baron being so much stronger now. You don't have that crazy 20-minute rush play available. Sieging with a mountain is no longer available. So closing out the game with the structures or Baron is just so much tougher that teams say, well, you don't really know how to do it. Let's just go for the soul, the easy way to get a good lead.
We've had 4 games of evidence. We'll get 4 more today. We are going to take a short breather, but on the other side, we've got our first Jat stats of the new decade, where I'm calling it now. I am not going to get a single question wrong. Witness my ability when we return. The LCS Countdown, where Game 1 is kicking off in not too long. This week, though, Legends of Runeterra kicked off its open beta, and the only way that we could coax Pastry to the studio to do some interviews today is that we would set up a place for him to play. How's it going over there, Pastry?
Oh, hey Dash, how you doing?
You winning?
This
Going well?
This game's a little not so good, but I think we'll be
Good,
okay.
you're an elusive scummer.
It's a
You're
What do you
playing
mean, scummer?
elusive
What deck are you
aggro.
playing,
What a
Mark?
title. Can we get a lower third for that? Pastry
Elusive
time.
scummer.
Elusive scummer,
Please
or
don't
whatever
do
the
that.
heck
I'm
that
playing
was.
ephemeral.
Right over
I'm playing
Oh, that's a lot better,
The
Mark.
Mark Z, ephemeral. Okay, before we get into Game 1, I'm excited to hand things off to Jat Stats. After my 2 months stat-focused boot camp, I feel like I'm ready.
Here's the thing, pop quiz, all the stats are from yesterday. So I hope you were paying attention and
Oh,
watching the LCS.
No.
I'll give you a primer
boy.
for this one. So last year, the average jungle proximity, which is the time between 3 and 15 minutes that a jungler is next to a teammate, was 42% in the LCS. On day 1, a jungler had a 58.4% jungle proximity.
That's a losing team. That's a losing team right there.
All right, you're right. That's the hint. But which jungler is it?
It's Meteos.
So there's only 4 junglers.
They won.
They won.
It was
Oh, yeah.
losing
I was thinking like losing the whole jungle phase.
Yep.
Whoa.
I kind of liked the dark mood light.
Wait, go back.
Shut the lights
Well,
up.
it's basically multiple choice. So
I'm going with Ruin.
Shurnfire.
Oh, sorry, not Ruin. Wiggly.
Shurnfire.
he says Wiggly. What does Mark say?
Shurnfire.
What were the other people?
Oh, that'd be
You
a
say
good one.
Shurnfire?
That'd be a good one.
I'll say
Someone's
Shurnfire.
trying to really help out.
Shurnfire was like, I'm just going to be you, my ladies.
I'll go Smithy.
Double if can't flame me if I have the highest
The
jungle
answer
proximity.
is X-Smithy.
I got it.
Because when you pick Trundle, you have to gank
You
all
have
the
to
time.
troll.
All right.
You can't do anything
All right,
to follow up.
first one didn't count. First one didn't count.
Okay,
We start
question
now.
number
We start
2.
now.
Of Jat Stats right here. Let's get it up on the screen because I don't remember exactly the order that I made them in. Yeah, how many kills? All right, there was a 40-minute game, the back-and-forth game that Dig played against COG. How many kills did COG get? I believe this is a multiple-choice question.
Oh,
good.
That's
Thank
how I
God.
submitted
Oh,
it.
thank
So the
goodness.
choices are A4, B6, C9, or D14.
It's A or B. It's A or B. It's A or
B6. I'm going to go B6. B6.
A.
A.
It's A. They had 4 kills
Yes.
in a 40-minute,
What's going on,
10-second
man?
They
game.
engaged every fight.
And they started every fight. Who
had
never
it?
got killed.
What is this? Curse versus complexity?
Dixie did the second most damage
serious
per minute.
throwback.
He didn't
Okay.
kill anyone. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay, so
Question 3.
final question. There were only 4 First Bloods yesterday.
Yeah,
One of
four
them
games, 4
happened.
first bloods.
Wow.
The earliest First Blood was at 3:32. Which team got the 3-minute, 32-second First Blood? Multiple choice.
Oh.
Team Liquid.
Multiple choice. Multiple choice. It's any team that played yesterday. What the hell?
Minute 32 seconds.
At 3:32.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember all the games. If you give me enough time, it's the pressure of the time.
Yeah, who got first?
Well, it's 5 minutes.
It was the FlyQuest Immortals game.
But with the
That was
third
the
dive?
earliest one?
Right?
Oh, that makes
That was
sense.
super early.
That makes
Pretty
a lot
early-
of
Wasn't
sense.
there a pretty early kill
That was like
in that game?
I like
It was
I like
really
your
early.
commitment.
I don't know
I
why
like
I'm
your commitment
standing
to
up,
Immortals.
by the way.
Immortals.
He's really into it.
Game time.
I think that was too early,
I needed
so-
to get up for
I'm
this.
thinking-
3 minutes,
apparently.
32 seconds. That's an early first
I'm
blood.
going FlyQuest
You're going
Immortals.
FlyQuest.
Yeah.
Do you know the team?
Immortals.
I think it
Immortals
was
got
Immortals.
first.
Immortals.
Okay.
Yeah, Immortals of Blue Side, right?
Immortals,
Yeah, and they
yeah.
got the first kill.
Well, they might have died first in the dive, which might be a trick question.
No,
if
they
you're
did.
even right.
They killed Turtle
All right, well,
first
I'm
and
gonna
then
say-
traded.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
The
think
hook.
so.
It was CLG. They're one kill.
I heard.
One
What was
of
that? He
4
said Immortals,
kills.
right? Yeah, it was Immortals. It was Immortals.
Oh, yeah,
We get
they're
it.
the same
That's
thing.
the wrong graph.
You were close, though. The first blood in the other game was like 338.
Okay, so it was very close. It was very, very close.
Everyone
All right.
wiped that CLG game from
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, solid way to kick off the split with Jet Stats. Well
Pop
done,
quiz.
well done, my friend. I think I'm 0 for 3, though, so I already didn't live up to my promise. Turning towards game 1, we do have Dignitas making their way back to the stage after an impressive start to the split. Aframu, though, gave us the lowdown on his new ADC.
Johnson's got 4 top 10 accounts from last season, so I was trying to figure out why, and I quickly found out why when we started scrimming, and I was like, oh, what the hell, bro? And then we started doing it all the time, but it's kind of similar personality to me, pretty laid back, chill dude, super funny, and just playing with the guy, I mean, for me, like, he's always perfect in every situation and does his best to do that every single time, and not only Johnson, but everybody else on our team definitely, admits their mistakes and, is super upset with themselves if they do mess up because everybody, is trying. And you love to see it.
Did you ever hear anyone tell you that you're always perfect in every situation?
No. I
hear it all the
time. No. That's pretty high praise, though, coming from Aframu towards Johnson. Rookie ADC, who put up a very good showing yesterday on Ashe, of all things.
Yeah. I thought they looked great, but I couldn't help but think just of some of the comments Afram's made in the past. Like, anytime he compliments his team, I wonder if he's subtly flaming his past team. So, throughout that set, he's like, it's great when, people admit their own mistakes and, they're all trying. I'm like,
Right.
What's he saying?
Well, and it also was interesting that he said he feels like their personalities really align. Like, he's very similar, very laid back like Aframu. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's different than some of your previous relationships, I'm sure.
You might need it for some of the stuff going on the top side of the map, which looked really good yesterday, but Hooney is a pretty loud guy and has a
resource hungry.
He's an energetic guy outside of the game, and then obviously has a strong opinion. But they looked really really good. Grig stepped up, and so Froggen worked well with it as well.
Don't underestimate the power of the hawk shot from Ashe to influence other matchups as well. That's something that I think allowed Dignitas to make these confident moves, knowing that there's not going to be the jungler there.
Yeah, and I think Crumbs and I were both fairly hot on Dignitas before the split. Sure, it's easier to say after they've won, but I pegged them as a playoff team, whereas a lot of people had them finishing outside of it. And the questions that you're going to have for this team throughout the split, is Grig going to look bad on stage again? He didn't yesterday. Like, is Hooney and Froggen going to work together? It worked yesterday. How's Johnson going to be with no experience? What Aframu said and how he looked, really good.
Right.
So if the stars align for this team, they actually could be really good, but on day 1, we'll just take it with that.
But that's the thing. If you isolate day 1's performance, they did answer a lot of the questions around this roster. But if we take a look at their opponents, EG have yet to play, so making their debut here today. But MVP Svenskeren alongside Kumo and Zeyzal coming over from Cloud9. That'll be the core trio here for this squad. And then, of course, Jizuke and Bang joining in together. Jizuke, Froggen, let's talk about that matchup, because I feel like a lot of the ways that Froggen played yesterday is what Jizuke would want to be doing himself.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of Jizuke from the Worlds 2018, which is what probably most North American fans know, really aggressive playmaker, did not have a great 2019, so he's got to find back to that way, which hopefully he can do with a really aggressive jungler in Svenskeren.
And one thing I do know is EG is very hyped on themselves. Like, in interviews, Svenskeren thinks they're a top 3 team. They started at the start of the season, said they're looking to take down Team Liquid. They've been selling a really high game. I'm skeptical. We'll see what happens.
That's exactly why I'm not buying into it. You haven't even played on stage. None of these teams know if they have stage frights, what they actually need to attack in the practice to translate into the actual LCS matches. And the fact that they're already saying, yeah, we're already top 3, like, dude, you just existed this year.
Isn't that the evil genius, though? You're a snake oil salesman, evil genius,
Hey, look, I'm into it. I like the confidence. It's just a matter of whether or not they show up, right?
Yeah.
They'll quickly have to eat their words if they go 0-2 in the first week.
I'm going dig for this game.
You're going dig for this game. What's your prediction here on this
Dig
game?
right there.
Dig as well, EG or dig?
Plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth.
You submitted them.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure we have your guest recorded somewhere. Let's get into that clash as we send it over to Riv and Kobe for game 1.
Thank you very much, Dash. Very funny that the 2 previous Dignitas players feel that Dignitas is going to win this game.
Yeah, and someone's going to have to prosecute Mark as far as that. I don't think you're allowed to plead the fifth either.
No way, not on the analyst desk. So coming into this one, it's going to be an awesome matchup. Our next 2 games are actually going to show us the 2 teams that have not played yet in the spring split in TSM and Evil Geniuses. So very cool to get an eye on those. And Evil Geniuses, people think that C9 trio coming over this squad with the MVP can actually be something that tops the tables.
Yeah, I know Sven Skaren, you know, of course, the previous MVP of the league, is very happy to play with Jizuke. Talked about he's already having fun, you know, playing solo queue with them, duoing, the energy that he brings, the aggressive play that they go for. But I would also rather be in Dig's seat right now. They won yesterday. So the entire team is having fun playing all